Hello and welcome to Fire in the Belly. Today we'll have myself, Mighty Pete, and we have the Emilie Given. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks so much for having me.
It is afternoon there, isn't it? I'm just checking. I assumed it was
It's
afternoon.
1 o'clock where I am. Yeah.
So tell us, Emilie, where are you calling from? What do you do? And really, who are you?
I live in Linwood, Washington, which is about 20 miles north of Seattle. I own a virtual assistant agency, and I also coach aspiring virtual assistants and um, basically people who want to leave their corporate job and start a virtual assistant business. Who am I? That's a good question. Oh, well, I'm a mom of two boys, 4 and 12, EJ and Hank, wife to Billy, and I have two dogs.
You got to give us the dogs' names now
You
as
might
well.
hear Wally and Poppy. You might hear them in the background. They might make a guest appearance.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So tell me, I mean, how did you get into your job then? That's quite niche, is it? Or is it a niche job?
It totally is, and it's really expanding lately. But do you want the long version or the short version?
Let's go long, sure. See where we get to.
All right. So I started as an executive assistant at Amazon Corporate in 2013, and I worked there. Actually, no, I lied. It was 2015. Yeah, 2015. I'm so sorry. And I worked there for 4 years as an EA. And when my son was born, I had a traumatic birth experience, which I'm sure we will get into later in the episode. But it caused me to really reevaluate my entire life. Not only did I determine it was super important to be at home with my family, but I just really didn't want to lose any more time than I already had with him. So I met my son when he was 7 days old because we both had severe complications. And it really just opened my eyes. Like I viewed the world so differently. Time is so precious. That's what I realized. And I realized I wanted to still work, still make an income, and really not lose those precious hours in the morning and in the evening when I would leave for work before he woke up and get back home, and I'd have 1 hour with him after, before I put him to bed. So I wasn't satisfied with that anymore. I needed to pay expensive medical bills. So I picked up a side hustle as a virtual assistant, worked like 10 hours a week at first, and then started building my clientele up. And before I left Amazon, I was working 40 hours a week at Amazon. And then in the evenings and weekends, I was also working 40 hours as a virtual assistant. I kind of came to my husband and I said, well, two things are going to happen. I'm going to lose my mind, or I need to quit Amazon and do this full time. And I said, listen, like I can make the same amount of money. You'll have to provide benefits, but I think this is what we should do. And so July of 2019, I left Amazon corporate, the stability, the benefits, the culture, all the great people I worked with, and decided to take a leap of faith, really. I mean, I say that, but I had really proven to myself that I could build up the clientele anyway and make money. So I was really just ready to do that full time. Within 1 month, I really had the realization that I I wasn't satisfied making the same amount of money as I did at Amazon. And so I had kind of kept myself in that regard. Well, I only really want to work 40 hours a week. This is the amount of money that I can make. And so I decided to scale to an agency model and have assistants working under me as subcontractors. So now we have about 25 assistants across the United States, and they work for us either on ongoing or project basis. And so that has become part of my kind of life goal, is to help other people find that stability and that balance, and figure out a career that really works for them, as well as adding that work-life harmony piece into the business owners that we support. So it's really full circle, and it's been a really rewarding journey so far.
Oh, wow. So talk me through, I mean, that sort of leap of faith out of corporate world into solopreneur world, and then solopreneur world, and you're like kind of going, I want more. There's so much more capacity and capability here. How quickly did that happen, and really what sort of triggered that realization? Do you know?
I don't know what exactly. Well, actually, it was money that triggered it for sure. Um, I tell my coaching clients too, if you're content making, if you just need to make a certain amount every month, that's fine. Like, figure out how many hours you want to work. That's how you can determine your pricing, things like that. But I wasn't satisfied with that. I really want to build, I mean, not even wealth, but I want a life that's super comfortable, and I want to be able to pay my kids through college and not struggle like other people do. Like, I put myself through college, um, and other people's parents take out loans and things like that. And I want to be able to pay for their college. Um, and help them, like, give them the life that I didn't have growing up.
Hmm.
I mean, we'll talk more about this too, but I was adopted when I was 11, and they gave me a great life. My adopted parents gave me a great life, everything that I ever could have needed. But um, before, I was living in, like, poverty, and shopping at secondhand stores to go back to school, shopping and things like that. So really, it came back to my money story, and um, living wanting and in need, I guess. And I really wanted to build wealth in order to give back eventually too. That's a huge goal of mine. So if I were to only make a certain amount of money, I wouldn't have been in a position to give back or grow in the way that I wanted to.
Interesting you talk about the money story. I mean, what does money mean to you?
Money is energy. Money is money is well, I mean, I've done a lot of work around this, like money meditations and things like that, but it's a currency, and we give it away and it comes back to us. I mean, I have done so much work around this. Money is not bad. It's not bad to talk about money. Um, there's not a limited amount of money. Money is constant. I mean, we can attract it by what we're doing and our actions and our um, but I truly believe that we all need to change. I mean, if we don't need to limit our mindset and think that, well, we can only ever have this much money, or I'm not in a position, I'm never going to make that much money. Um, I'm that person who has worked two full-time jobs their entire life and up until now, and I believe that, like, if you make it happen, it will come to you.
Does hard work equal money?
No, not necessarily. And this is what I'm learning very much recently, especially building the agency model. So, yeah, there's going to be hard work involved for sure at the beginning. You're creating a product, you're creating a program that you're selling, you're doing the work that's up front. But if you do it in a way that you're setting up systems and processes at first, you can have that money be flowing to you for years and years and years. Think about the big, like, the George Foreman grill, right? Like, I mean, he does a lot of work, I'm sure, but like, he created this one product, and it just keeps selling all the time. Like, yeah, there's marketing and things like that, but and for the agency too, like, I had to hire all the people, I had to train the people, I had to set up my systems and HR and finance and sales and marketing and all these things. But now I'm working less than ever because I have all the systems set up, and I'm checking in with my team, but they know what to do because I set up the systems that go with it.
I like that. I mean, to have that system that can sort of work while you're not working, that's smart, right?
Yeah, I think that your team is like the most valuable asset that you can have, and because you're creating people to be extensions of you. You only have a certain number of hours a day, and you can't. I mean, that's the whole premise of my business. Is we're assigning you somebody to be an extension of you, And so you can focus on what really lights you up, what you're really passionate about, instead of doing all the back end things that take the time out of your day and slow you down, really.
Oh, so I look forward to getting into that more. But first of all, tell us, what does fire in the belly mean to you?
Fire in the belly. I was talking to my husband about this before we started too. And fire in the belly really means like what drives you, what you're hungry for, what you're so passionate about lights you up from the inside. It's not external, it's completely internal. Like what you close your eyes, what lights you on fire, what you want to spend your days doing, what you envision is the perfect scenario for you.
Do you have it?
I'm working on it. Yeah. So part of it part of it is I absolutely love what we're doing with the agency. I am passionate about helping others find balance. I'm more passionate about creating the job opportunity for working moms, really, who want the flexibility to, they don't want to commute, they don't want to work a 9 to 5, they want to work when their baby's sleeping. I'm really passionate about that. Um, and that's kind of why I chose coaching a little bit too, which I've been doing less and less of because it takes time and I'm really focused on um, building the agency right now. But I'm very passionate about filling our VA roles with women who really just really want the flexibility and want to earn an income on their own terms. So I am passionate about the freelance opportunity. I haven't really figured out how it's going to come together yet, what really is going to light me up. Um, I'm really passionate about helping women realize their power, helping people go from self doubt to self confidence. I've been through a lot of trauma in my life, and I feel like I'm no expert on resilience, but I am somebody who's very resilient and can pass off what I've learned in my techniques and my mindset onto others, um, especially in the way of birth trauma and child abuse. And I'm really big into things happen. They didn't happen to you to happen for you. You can rise up from your circumstances. I mean, obviously, privilege has a lot to do with that, right? I consider myself to be a privileged individual, even though I am Asian. I identify as white. I um, was raised by a white family, and so I have a lot of um, those circumstances I would maybe have been easier to come out of than others. But I like to give people the techniques that I've used and help them realize like how powerful they really are. So I think I don't know if it all combines into some beautiful magical thing that I haven't created yet. Maybe that's fire in the belly, or maybe these are just pieces of it, but I'm not sure.
Well, why is that important to you?
What?
That's helping other people. That sort of coaching and helping people find themselves. Why is that important to you?
I don't know, but it always has been. I'm I've always been the nurturer. I want the best for my friends. I want the best for my family. I take care of everybody. And it probably to a fault, I take care of everybody. And sometimes I am really not good at self care. So I will, um, if anybody asks me for anything, I used to have a problem where I would say yes to everything. I'm really working on saying yes to only things that feel good now. Like, uh, really, I try to listen to my body, like what's my gut instinct. If it's like, ooh, that I shouldn't do it, right? If I'm like, ooh, that's great, then yeah, I'll do it. So that's something I'm working on. But why is it important to help for me to help people? Because I needed help. I needed help in a lot of different scenarios in my life. Lots of help. And I got it. And I I reflect back on where I was in that time And if I didn't have anybody, where would I be now? Dead, depressed, like feeling so alone, suicidal, probably. Like I would not be in a good place. And so I want to be that light for other people. And not necessarily in the way of like a counselor. I'm not qualified for that at all, but a, a person who can show people like, look, I've been there. This is these are lessons I've learned. This is the techniques that I've done, or what I have learned from therapy that really was beneficial. Like I can be a guide for you, not even, don't want to call it a mentorship or coach, but I don't know what to call it. But I want people to know that I'm there for them.
Talk to us about the mini version of you, the child version of you.
This part is where this is the one thing in my life that I have issues talking about. And that's okay, we'll talk about it. Um, I've done a little bit of inner child work, but I have not, I'm not to a place where I'm ready to really fully work on it because I know it's going to take a lot of emotional strength, be emotionally strenuous. It's going to take a lot of work. We're going to have to dive into a lot of deep stuff. Um, the premise of it is childhood Emily, little Emily, um, very repressed, feels like she couldn't speak her voice, needed to shrink herself in order not to get hurt because I grew up in a physically abusive household. So my birth mother was a drug addict and used drugs my whole life growing up until I was probably, I think we were removed from the home when we were 6 and 7, me and my little sister. So, like, I really had to shrink myself in order to not get hit or hurt. And that, I think that has a lot to do with my hesitance in public speaking and showing up on social media because some psychological component is like, stay small, stay small. Um, so yeah, what else can I say about that?
Do you know why she was an addict?
I don't. She had a hard life growing up, though, too. My grandpa, I think that in his early years, he was an alcoholic and not nice. He definitely changed, uh, being the grandfather that I knew, super loving and happy and um, great. But I think when he was younger, that wasn't the case. And perhaps her mother was neglectful, from what I can tell. And she grew up partially deaf and didn't have the resources she needed. So, probably, I don't want to make excuses um, for her. She is who she is. She also has some like bipolar and some possibly untreated mental health issues. So while I'm not making excuses for that, I can understand when people go through things like that. Sometimes they turn to drugs, and maybe that's part of why I want to help people to avoid that.
Well, listen, thank you for sharing. I mean, that's quite something to go through. It's out of interest. What's your earliest conscious memory?
Mm, I can't tell you how old I was, but definitely in the apartment where we lived at. And all the memories that I have are not great. Like I don't have happy memories from being that small. Mostly memories like of abuse happening. So they're not great memories, but I'm very thankful that we had the opportunity, or not even opportunity, like someone, my aunt and uncle saved us really. Like they took us in and we were fostered with them for how many years? 3 years, and then we were adopted by them. So they, I say it all the time, like they saved our lives for sure. They gave us a second chance at life.
Talk to me about your sister there.
My little sister,
Mm.
she is a superhero. She actually chose a career path in social work. So she's helping those little Emily and JDs of the world that grow up in abusive households. And I, I for one said I could never do that job. It's too emotionally hard. I wouldn't be able to do it. And she just dove right in.
Wow.
She lives in probably 45 minutes away from me. Haven't seen her much this year due to COVID, but we're still pretty close.
Wow. That's awesome. You guys are always
And then
close,
I
were you?
got no, I mean we're 16 months apart. I mean 18 months apart. Really close. So close in age. We weren't so close growing up in school. Like I don't know, we were 2 grades different. Friends, just different friend groups. Um, we're not very similar. We have different interests. We think differently, but we still are there for each other no matter what. And I also have 2 older sisters that were my adopted sisters as well. So it's funny. I always say we're like 4 points to a compass. We're so different. All of us are so different.
That's wonderful. So tell me, what did Emily want to do when she grew up? What was the original plan a way back?
So I always used to tell my mom I wanted my mom. Anytime I refer to my mom, I'm talking about my adopted mom, Marianne. Now going forward. I wanted to wear a cute suit and carry a briefcase. What I wanted. So lawyer. I thought about being a news anchor for a little while. um, yeah, those I think those are my 2 top choices. I thought about being a cruise director too, but I didn't want to try that much.
You're going straight for big stuff. You weren't hanging about halfway down the ladder, were you?
No, no, no. I mean, I was really serious about law school too for a while. I was looking at like LSAT. I had the LSATs, the app on my phone. I would do practice tests, and um, I just decided that wasn't what I really wanted to do. I shadowed a prosecutor in high school, and he had like a death threat framed on his door. I was like, "Ah, that's a little intense."
Wow.
So I know that's part of I think what makes me so interesting is that I never had a clear path.
Mm.
I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't, and I created it, and that's the best part of this job. It's like I had no idea what I wanted, and growing up, and nothing ever seemed to fit the bill, and so I just made exactly what I wanted.
I mean, in your teenage years, and you talked about that sort of fostering and adoption. I mean, were you able to be yourself, or was it a constant, having to monitor who you were and what was going on and just protecting yourself?
Not necessarily protecting myself, but I definitely had a stage of rebellion, I would say, or finding myself, or trying to find myself, or um, I mean, I was not nice to my parents growing up. I sought affection in boys, like dating boys. Um, I think it had a lot to do with like wanting to feel accepted. And I also was a cheer captain in high school. And there was also the, I mean, don't get me wrong, I was always myself, and the fact that I was nice to people, because that was really important to me. But trying to fit in with, what was popular. And I think all high schoolers really go through that as well. Um, but then I mean, I didn't even apply to colleges when in my senior year. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Um, and I graduated high school with like a 3.9. I had great grades. I was in honors classes. I just had no idea what I wanted to do. And so my mom had been laid off from Boeing. No, sorry, laid off from her job at the Federal Reserve. Not really laid off, her department closed, I think, but she was like, I'm going to go take this medical front office course. Why don't you come with me? And like, we can do it together. And so I ended up doing medical back office, so medical assisting. We were in class together, which was pretty fun. Where was I going with this? But anyway, I didn't apply to colleges, and I always wonder now, like, what would it be? What would that experience have been like if I went away to college? I always watch that movie Pitch Perfect, and I'm like, did I miss
What could have?
dumb movie to compare yourself to? But I was in
Oh,
choir, so
I was wondering where the that get up of a suit in the briefcase is that come from a movie, or where do you remember subliminally where that came from?
no, I just wanted, ever since I was little, I wanted to be a power player. I wanted to be big. I wanted to be, I mean, if you think about it, lawyer, like super powerful news anchor on TV, cruise director, guiding thousands of people on their vacation, right? So I guess I've always wanted to be in the spotlight, which is funny because I think about it and I don't think that I want that, but maybe I do internally.
They're all very leadership type, guiding roles that you've talked about there,
Mm-hmm.
and then I
I
mean
definitely have always, seen myself as a leader.
that's so different, right? Because I mean, when you're talking about yourself as a child, it's kind of be as small as you possibly can be, and yet you flip here and you're sort of going cruise director, big, go top, lead others. That's quite a swing.
Yeah, it is interesting to think about. I'm not sure where it changed or where, I mean, because I still think I certainly have some work to do around the inner child workforce. Um, but I'm not sure where exactly it comes into play. I know it comes into play in the social media aspect. Like I feel uncomfortable, like going live, or I guess maybe it's the imposter syndrome thing. Like, who's gonna care about that live? Who are you to go live? Like, you're just Emily. But I have a lot to say. I have great advice and great experiences that people can learn from.
But I suppose imposter syndrome. I mean, I think it's fairly rife in most humans as well, isn't it? That it's putting yourself out there, but maybe doing it with the intention of helping others. Because always,
I think
it's always interesting about where does ego come into play when you come to social media.
that could be definitely a good thing for me to do is come at it with the lens of there's one helping. And that's kind of what I tell myself when I find that imposter syndrome creeping in. If you don't, ooh, that's rude. Hold on. If you don't put yourself out there and share your experience and share your knowledge, you are doing people a disservice. Like people won't hear you and people can't be helped by you.
Yeah.
And so that's what I try to tell myself. And
Yeah, I suppose it's trying to get that. It's getting that balance of putting yourself out there, scaring the pants off yourself, but yet sort of moving forward, right? So having that big vision, but getting over yourself. It's always fun. It's always being out there.
it's difficult, but something we need to work on every day.
So talk to us then. So you ended up sort of this medical, how would you describe it? Medical back office type support?
Medical assistant is what it's called here.
Okay.
So they're the ones that come out to the waiting room and call your name. Hey, Pete, you ready to come back? Get your name, get your vitals, check your blood pressure and your temperature and things like that. And then really input it into the computer, let the doctor know that you're ready, and then assist with any procedures that are needed or, send your prescriptions to the pharmacy and things like that. I loved it. I worked in OBGYN, so I got to see lots of pregnant moms and babies, and it was a really great field to be in. And I learned, I was a medical assistant for probably 5 years. 5 years? 5 years. And then I went to a supervisory position, which I hated. I was 23 and I had 21 direct reports, and I was just It was rough. I was at a company that was owned by doctors, and so it wasn't like nor like different companies. So I came from a different company where, there's a whole management board that made decisions. And this one is more like management board that made decisions, and then you, and then doctors on top. So it's like switching, you're like squished in the middle. And I'm like, oh, I like this. And I felt like I didn't have support, although my boss was amazing, very supportive, and her boss was amazing. It's like I didn't have support for the role itself. So, like, here's a management position, just do it. And I didn't have any management training, and I was 23, and all these people were older than me, and it was a very strange situation to be in. So I started applying for different jobs, and that's how I got um, on a whim. I applied to Amazon. I was like, I'm not qualified for this, but I'm gonna try. And luckily, my boss, the one who hired me, worked in healthcare, and she's like, nope, you can do this. You can do this job. I'll teach you. And so she did. It was great.
Oh wow, it's interesting. I mean, even at that time, it's sort of relatively young, age to have that 21 reports. It's kind of is there a synchronicity here or a duality that, you fast forward to now and you've got, sort of this agency model again that you're managing multiple people and assisting multiple people. There's a reoccurring theme there, right?
I mean, now that you mention that, yeah, I think so. The difference is that I think I own it this time, so I get to make the decisions, and I get to pick who I hire. That is really interesting because coming from a place that's really corporate, like I had to, and things that I hated about the job were I had to like write people up for being on their cell phone, and I had to tell people that their dress code wasn't in line with our policies, and I had to make sure that they were doing their job. And then going to Amazon, I was thrown into this amazing culture where it's like you don't have to be at work at a certain time, and you can be on your phone whenever you want, and you don't have to clock out for your lunch break, and you don't have to take breaks whenever you want. It was just such a slap in the face, like in a good way. Like, wow, like they're trusting me to be an adult. And I guess that's what I pass on to my assistants now. Like, you get your job done. I'm hiring you. You're an expert at what you're doing. Send me your hours at the end of the week. Like, let me know if you have questions, if I can help you facilitate a conversation with your client. But I trust you to do your job, and that's I think why people like working for our agency too.
It's not mad. I mean, you go from an input based workplace, it's like you've got to turn up as like, I don't really care if you're being efficient, but you must be there, you must be doing it, to an output based model whereby it's like, I'm not clock watching, but get your work done. As long as you've done your work, then we're good, right?
Exactly. And that was such a difference in from going from my first job, not my first job, but the job before I was at Amazon, and then going to Amazon. I was like, what is up? I asked my boss, I remember asking her, so what time do you want me here in the morning? She's like, text me if you're gonna be here after 10. Like, I'm like, so Lord. Like, okay, that sounds great. But I mean, it was so like I just always got my work done, and she always trusted me to do that. And most of my bosses, I mean, all of my bosses at Amazon did. That's how it is. If you don't have anything in your inbox, go home for the day. Like, you don't have to sit there just to sit there.
It's a real changing of the guard, though, isn't it? That those that were, yep, you come in at this time, you leave at this time, and what you do in between is, well, we're paying you, so you either just sit there or whatever, whereas now it's not welfare. The welfare of the staff is completely different, right? The energy, the vitality of your staff is key.
Absolutely. And then, I mean, coming from a place where you're salaried like Amazon, like we would find other things to do if we didn't have stuff to do because we wanted to be there. Like, it was exciting to be there. We were motivated to, do other things and take on other challenges.
What out of interest, so you were 23 really when you should have moved over to Amazon. I mean, was that a big shift up for you? I mean, you were ready for a change, to take it, obviously moving from the previous workplace into Amazon. Then you were just good time?
I was almost 24, so I worked at that job in management for a year, and so I started at Amazon a couple months before my 25th birthday. Um, I think that's right. And it was definitely a shock. Um, I went from being in management to being one of the lowest, not one of the lowest, but like a very low position. Although the great part about Amazon is that they don't treat you like based on rank. You're everyone's um you're I guess it feels like you're lateral. It feels like you can go up to the directors and the vice presidents and just talk and ask, give your opinion, your input, and feel relevant. So that was different. The culture was amazing, which that's the biggest thing that I missed about Amazon is the culture because I went from this huge, amazing culture where they do all these events and fun things and to working by myself. So that was a bit crazy at first. I'm like, I miss my friends. Um, and I still miss my friends. One of my Amazon friends called me this morning, FaceTime, just to say hi, and it was great. But it, it was a big culture shock. But I learned so fast about that job because I was trusted to just do it and figure it out. And it's not even that you're trusted to do it, so that they give you the freedom, the creative freedom. Like, okay, this is what we need to do, like figure it out. And so you get to problem solve and do it, and you're not following necessarily like written directions. Like you're not working on checklists every day, although like I'm a checklist person, so I probably created those in order to do my job well. But they give you the creative freedom to figure out how to do things. And the way that you do things may not be the same way that the other executive assistant does things. But if you both get them done well, neither one of you is wrong. So that
Mm.
was really cool.
What's your preference out of interest? I mean, do you prefer to take a problem and work on it and fix it, or do you like to sort of look at brand new concepts?
I prefer to be given a problem. Okay. So like a project, let's say, not a problem. Project. And I like to say, these are my ideas around it. These are the steps that I'm going to take one, two, three, and go. In regards to problems, from a management level, actually, I always tell my people, please don't come to me with a problem unless you've come to me with a solution that you have thought about and tried and failed. Because I want people to do their research and try to figure it out by themselves first. Like, don't ask me anything you can Google, please. I don't I still believe that there are dumb questions. And the dumb questions are ones that you can type into Google and figure it out yourself. I, and I know that's like kind of harsh, but it's right there. Like the world of information is at your fingertip. Like, please utilize it.
It's amazing just that just trying to empower people, and really sort of let them help themselves first.
Mhm.
You know, talk to us then
I mean,
about
we
your
do
your,
that all the time.
your career
Go
then
ahead.
and through Amazon. Then talk to us about that.
So at Amazon, I started in a as a level 4, which is entry level. Level 4 as an executive assistant in the consumer website team. So um, when you look at Amazon.com, like the .com, the website, the web page, shopping cart, um, design, UX design, all of that was under my umbrella. So it was very customer facing, consumer shopping. It was all very customer facing. So I got to work on really fun projects like Oprah's when they launched Oprah's favorite thing. Like I was the one like coordinating with Oprah's team to send my directors to there. So that was super cool. Like when um, big world events happen, I would be the one who purchased the image that we would put on the hero on the homepage. So my team's like when they turn the homepage green for St. Patrick's Day, like, that was my team. So super visible, amazing things. After that, I had a baby when I was there. And then, so after I came back from maternity leave, I worked there and I got promoted, worked in the same org organization. And then, so when you're a level 5, it is thought that you should support a higher level um, executive as well. So at that time, before I was supporting like up to 7 directors at one time, mostly 3, but like vacations and stuff you cover for everyone else. And then, um, so I saw a VP role, so supporting a VP. Tried that out. Didn't love the org, so I came. I didn't. I One of the VPs from my first org moved to a different org, so I moved to his org, which was delivery experience, and they were working on a secret project, and I probably joined the team when it was like 10 people. And I think it was like 200 people by the time I left. They ended up launching that delivery robot, Scout, if you've seen it. Um, so that was a really fun team to be on too. I loved it. I supported the VP at first, but then um, I wanted to actually work from home 2 days a week, so I started working with directors instead. A great EA team there. She's the one that called me this morning to face me. Loved the people I worked with. And like I said, I loved Amazon. I have nothing bad to say about Amazon at all. It's funny because you hear a lot of people say like bad things, and I absolutely adored it. It's The people are brilliant. I was treated fairly. I learned so much. I I couldn't have asked for anything more. And I wouldn't have left if I wouldn't have had this opportunity. Created this opportunity, I say.
How was having your first child? How was that? A bit of a shock, was it?
So Hank, our oldest son, is my stepson. He's 12. So I started dating his dad, my husband, when he was 4 years old. So I've been in his life since he was 4. Um, so EJ is actually my birth child. Um, is that what you're referring to? Talk about that.
Yeah.
So I had a great pregnancy. Nothing was wrong. Pregnant in the sweltering hot summer, so I was like a miserable whale. But other than that, did pretty good. And then when we went to the hospital, um, everything was still fine. Everything was fine. And then all of a sudden I spiked like 104 fever or something like that. So they assumed I just had an infection, which was kind of weird because my water never broke. So chorioamnitis happens a lot, which is the infection of inside of your like the bag of fluid, right? So they say it happens when your water breaks and you don't get to the hospital soon enough, and like that gets infected in there. So my water didn't break, and I still had an infection. So they gave me antibiotics. I wasn't getting better, and then all of a sudden, like I started, my pulse was like up to 200 or something crazy like that. I was like shaking uncontrollably, and then we started losing EJ. He started crashing, so they rushed me to um, the operating room. Is what you call it, operating room, and like said like, "Can you feel this?" And I had an epidural. I'm like, "No," and they like started cutting. Like Billy didn't get to go in with me, and so they delivered him, and he didn't cry. And I remember being like, "Is he okay? Is he okay?" And nobody would talk to me. And I started like screaming, like, "Is my baby okay?" And someone said they're working on it. So I found out later they had to intubate him. They had to intubate him, and then I bled out during my C-section, so I lost over 2 liters of blood, so like a 2 liter of soda. And I vividly remember them like, "We're losing her. We need more blood. Like, we're losing her." That was an interesting experience. So I would say at that point I felt myself dying, and I kind of like came out of body experience and like watched it from the top, like, "Oh, I'm dying. My baby's dead." And I just remember thinking like, "I'm so sorry, Billy." Like I just when I came back, I mean, I don't think I actually died. I never flatlined, but I felt like I was dying. And then I came back and he told me that they intubated the baby and he had to go to Seattle Children's, which is, it was probably 30 miles from where we were, 25 maybe. So I delivered at that hospital and they took him in an ambulance there. And so Billy went with him. And then my mom came in an ambulance here at the hospital I delivered. There's a birth center and then there's a hospital up the street. I had to go in an ambulance there. And then when I got there, they discovered I had septic. I was septic. I had septic. And then I was in like shock due to blood loss. So my liver failed, my kidneys failed, and my lungs failed. So I was put on emergency dialysis. Like they shoved the femcast into my groin that goes like straight to your heart, I guess, or straight to something. And they basically recycle your blood. So they take it all out and they clean it and they put it back in. And I had to get another transfusion at that point. And then my lungs. So, you know, when people are dying from COVID, something they're dying from is called ARDS, which is acute respiratory distress syndrome. And that's why I have ARDS. So, yeah, it was a tough road. I was in the hospital for 7 days, which is, I probably could have been in there another 7 days, but I made them let me go home because I hadn't even met my baby yet. So I got to meet him. He was discharged 6 days after, which is really a miracle in itself. Like, just incredible. He was intubated. He was cooled because he hadn't breathed for 6 minutes. He was cooled. Like I saw pictures. I wasn't there, but they like put him on this like cooling mat and have like cold water running through it, and so it slows down organ damage. So when your brain stops working, apparently it doesn't send signals to all the rest of your organs, so they slowly die. And so the cooling prevents that process. So they cooled him, and then they warmed him up by like putting warm fluid through the hose, and then he like started waking up. They actually sedate them because it's painful. So he started waking up. He had to learn how to eat, but then Billy like came to the hospital and held him and gave him to me. I have a picture of that. It was amazing. But yeah, I met him 6 days, 7 days after he was born. I got out on day 8 because I was like, no, I'm not staying. I'm gonna go home. I swear I'll follow up with the doctors. Like, but I was in stage 2 kidney failure at that point still. With resolve on its own. I don't know how. Like, I don't know why I'm still here. I mean, I do know why. I have a very, I have a purpose here, but I shouldn't be here. Like, I shouldn't be here. It's a miracle that I'm alive.
Oh, way. What a journey. And as you say, going into the hospital, it was none the wiser, right?
Totally fine. Like, yep, let's have a baby. Let's do this. They don't prepare you for that in childbirth class for sure.
How far along were you? Were you ready for delivery at that point?
39 weeks. Yep.
Well, so you knew there's a big event coming up, but just not quite what you expected, right?
Yeah. So it was the hardest thing I've ever been through. And I think that's part of my bigger purpose too, is like the afterward. Like you survived this event of great magnitude that was totally rocked your world, and then after it's just over for other people, but it's not over for you. It's You relive it every day, and there's PTSD happening, and you need help. And I had to call probably 20 counselors before I could find somebody who would take me that was taking any patients. Um, like I had to get medicated. Like I was not okay. I was not okay when that happened. And I really was just panicked. I would have panic attacks thinking I was gonna die, drop dead. Like me and EJ. Like it would like what's to say I'm not gonna drop dead? I almost did just drop dead. Like what are you gonna tell me that I'm not going to? You're wrong. You know. And so when COVID hit, I had a really big I had a I didn't do so well with it at first because I really was like, okay, I'm gonna drop dead. I went back to that place and I had a panic attack at first when this all came out, and I had to get off social media for a little while and take care of myself, and then really like put myself back in the place like, okay, well, you didn't die last time, and you're gonna be careful, and you're gonna wear a mask, and you're gonna, get vaccinated. It'll be okay. So I'm much more calm about it now, but I was scared at first, and not to say that you shouldn't be scared of it because millions of people are dying, but it was very triggering.
What what have you taken from all this?
That you're stronger than you think, even when you feel like your world is literally falling down around you. You can make it through it. Like I can do anything. I can do anything, and I know that. I've proven it to myself over and over again. Like I'm strong. I can get through anything.
Are you a different person, a better person as a consequence of those events?
I am a completely different person. Not only in the way I choose to spend my time, but in the way that I'm trying to be more present. Like I'm trying not to be on my phone, although it's part of my business on my brain, but I'm trying to really like spend more time with my friends and my family when I can. And I know it's so cliche. Like tomorrow is not promised. It's not. Um, and I've literally seen that, and it's so important to do what you really want to do in this life. Like, okay, so if you're miserable at your 9 to 5 job, which I wasn't miserable, right? But if other people are, and they have this great idea for business, like start. You don't have to leave your job tomorrow, but do like focus on it for 30 minutes every day until you're finally ready. Like just start somewhere. Just do it. Because if you keep thinking like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow or I'll do it when I'm ready, you're just never gonna do it, and your life is like literally passing you by, and you don't know if you're gonna get the chance again. So it's important to do like what you're super passionate about. It's important to, even if it seems silly to somebody else, it's important to you to spend your time that way. It's important to do things that make you happy, not even just working, right? Like if you can have a job that you really enjoy, riding horses, go ride a horse. Make time for it. Make time for yourself. Um, yeah, it's so important. Like you being true to yourself and treating yourself in the same way that you treat others, which is something I struggle with still. I'm still working on my self care journey, but it's just like you're not made to wake up and work and go to sleep and die. That's what we're made to do.
Well, did everyone get through the event in the end? Did everything come good?
Oh, yeah, we're great. I mean, I have no lasting health effects. Knock on wood. And EJ, his diagnosis was something like HIE, hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy, which is like your brain is damaged due to lack of oxygen. And sometimes that manifests itself in like cerebral palsy. Sometimes it manifests itself in learning delays. Sometimes it manifests itself in motor delays. We don't know. That's unfortunately something that is hard with HIE. You don't know until you know. So they could be learning to read and struggling, and that could be an effect of HIE. They could be learning to walk and have trouble, and that is an effect of HIE. You don't really know, but as far as we can tell, he's unaffected, which is insane and amazing. He's great. And my husband, we, helped him through that all. He's great. My husband is now co-owner of my business as of this year. So he's doing my sales calls and actually matchmaking for assistants. So that's been really fun to work together. Like we've heard couples, either thrive or fall apart during the pandemic, and we have never been closer. Like we work in the same office, like 6 feet apart from each other. And we're like, let's do a happy hour and talk about this client. And it's just fun. It's been really fun being so close to him.
Wow. That's great. That's that evolution, that step. So when did you jump across then to go on full time? So it was 2019, did you say?
July 2019.
Wow. It was just time, right? That was just time to move over.
Yeah, I couldn't do the 8 hours a week anymore. I didn't want to. And I really just wanted the flexibility. I was done commuting. I was done spending an hour and a half in the car every day. It was, yeah, not for me. I mean, now, not being able to go in, not being able to see friends and stuff, I would go in like 1 day a week. I used to go visit my friends that I moved on to after I left. Like, let's go have lunch. I'll meet you down there. I can't do that. So it's been.
So really, I mean, your son was 2 when was he more 2? Yeah, 2 when you moved over to work for yourself.
Almost 3, yeah.
Hmm.
Almost 3. But he's in daycare. Like, don't get me wrong. He's still in daycare. I wouldn't be doing things like a podcast interview if he was home right now, because he'd be on my lap and, Mommy, play with me. Mommy, that's Pokemon. But he's in daycare 4 days a week. But I also get to leave right at like whenever I want and go get him. I could say, I don't need to call Thursday. I'm gonna go get him at 1:00. Although I don't usually do that, but it takes me actually his daycare probably like 3 blocks from our house, less than a mile. So it's great.
It's amazing, isn't it? That sort of, I get it because listen, our 3 are at daycare too, and for me, we need it for our sanity. I love my kids, but I love to see them go too, and the variety of people, the variety of food, the variety of friends, everything else. It's like they're so much more fun than us.
Exactly. And I mean, we've made some great friends, EJ's school friends. Like we're going on vacation with 2 of the families for in the summer. So I mean, his parents are our friends. So it's been really fun to get to know, it's a whole nother community that you're exposed to as well. I should say exposed. That's a bad term in today's whatever you call it. It's a whole nother community that we can be friends with.
True. During that time, I mean, you used the word miracle a couple of times. Where do you sit on that? Do you believe in something else out there? Would you describe yourself as religious or spiritual or universal or?
Definitely spiritual. Definitely spiritual. So I was not raised religious. And so I definitely believe there's something bigger than us, for sure. I don't know. I generally refer to it as like the universe or spirit. If I'm looking into it, I think that God is the same thing though as universe or spirit. So I mean, it's very interesting. Because I have not talked a lot about my beliefs to other people. I mean, to some people, yeah, but not certainly not on the podcast. But so I believe there is something bigger for sure. Love the idea of organized religion. I don't think I think Jesus was a real person, but I think he was like much like a popular Instagram influencer. Like he said some really great things. He had some really great ideas, but I don't think he's the be all end all. Like I don't think he's the only one that has good ideas. I'm really big into like manifestation, into positive mindset and like attracting what we want in life. So being that, raising our vibration to up level in that sense. I don't know. I like to clear my energy. Like I sage when I'm feeling a certain way, like bad energies. I'm pretty intuitive. Like I can pick up on energies for sure. If someone walks in and they're having a bad day, like I can tell. I can pick up on that. Hey, what's going on? Are you having a bad day? Let's talk through it. And so you know what I believe, but I definitely believe there's things out there, and I believe that our loved ones communicate with us after they pass on, for sure. I 1,000,000% believe that. My grandmother's always around me, like always. And I believe we have like a destiny in our lives. And I think that kind of relates back to religion too. People say God has a plan for your life. Like I believe there's a plan for our life, for sure. And I think there's a plan for our life. I'm not, yeah, not growing up in religion. I'm not in the habit of like praying every day. I'm not in the habit of doing certain, I don't even know, but I practice gratitude every day. Every day I write down what I'm thankful for. I'm kind of into tarot cards, like learning how to pull my tarot cards and seeing what comes up. And I think that's just like your intuition too, like reading the scenarios that are happening. I'm really into developing my intuition. Like I really am into paying attention when something happens, like where I feel it in my body. Like you and I not being able to connect for a long time because of my mic. Was that throat chakra something? Like was that because my voice wasn't ready to be heard yet? Or like I read into things like that. So I don't think there's any specific thing that I am. I think I have a lot of collection of beliefs from a lot of different things. I think Christian religion is really great in the fact that like the commandments are like really, don't kill people. Duh. Like, be a nice person. I really think it's like all comes back to the golden rule, like do unto others as you would want done unto you, or whatever that is. Like, I believe in karma. I believe if you're a good person and you have like high energy, you're going to attract good people and high energy situations to you too. So I don't know if there's like a one thing that it's called, but I am very open-minded spiritually. Like you can tell me, I find religion fascinating as well. Fascinating. There can't just be one right thing. There's so many different things. Have you seen the Morgan Freeman? There's a Netflix series about religion, and it's great. He dives into a different religion every episode, and it's fascinating. I love it. Like there can't just be one right thing. There can't. I think it's beautiful. I'm like spirituality and religion is beautiful, and I like to learn about different ones too.
Have you been here before?
Here?
Mm.
No. Me? Oh, like, I don't think so. I don't know. I'm not that. I wouldn't know if I had been. I'm still pretty new to this. Maybe. We were talking, my husband, not my husband, my son, EJ, we're getting to sleep the other night, and he goes, Mom, you're gonna have to bury my body when I die. Like, okay, like, we're just so like floored. Where did that come from? He's like, I'm gonna come back as a Pokemon. I'm like, okay. So like he said, what happens after we die? And I said, well, my husband said, no one really knows. Some people believe you just die. Some people believe you come back. Something else. Some people believe you go to this faithful heaven, and no one really knows. And so we try to teach him the multitude of things that can happen, not push our beliefs on him, because I think it's important to make his own conclusion.
That's wonderful. I want to come back as a
It was an
Pokemon.
interesting, I know. It was an interesting conversation for sure to have with our 4-year-old. And then I had taken him to the cemetery probably a month ago to bring flowers to my grandma. And kind of explain the whole thing to him, like, when someone dies, they get buried, and he's like, how did she get buried? And like, well, someone just dropped it, like, dig a hole. It was like very like pragmatic, like, this is what happens, and someone could turn the hole, and then they put, like, I had to, like, parts that you never really think about or think about explaining to somebody, but he was like, oh, okay. He like totally got it. He wasn't freaked out by it at all. So we try to be really open with him.
Isn't it funny how adults tend to get freaked out wondering how to explain it to kids, and yet kids are so
They
binary.
just get it.
It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
we have a hole in the garden. It's
it's
like,
very
that's where the dead dog is. This is the live dog. That's the dead dog. It's like, there's no, it's just
yeah.
straight out, right?
He's just, I'm like trying to protect his feelings and whatever, and he's like, nope. I'm like, is my fish alive? I forgot to feed it yesterday. It's not dead. I'm like, no, it's not dead. He's just so funny. He cracks me up every single day.
I love it. The freshness of kids is so refreshing, isn't it? It's beautiful. Just
They're amazing.
their view in the world. What are you capable of?
Oh my gosh. That is a crazy question. What am I capable of? What do you mean? Like, in what regard?
Do you ever? Well, first of all, do you find yourself dumbing yourself down a bit for people to keep up?
No. I just have people on my level. Like, I won't hire somebody who can't keep up with me. Like, I need you to, because I mean, really, this started an extension of me. I need you to kind of think like me. Like, I need you to just be able to jump in and figure it out. And while so all my people are subcontractors, I technically cannot train them. So I'm not training them how to do it the Emilie way. No, I'm making sure that you have the foresight to be proactive, to jump in and learn things, to problem solve. Like, that's what I mean. Think like me. Like, you respond quickly, you are efficient, you get things done, and I trust you to do that. But if I can tell somewhere in the process of interviewing with us, like, you're not there, you're probably not a good fit. But in other regards, and I find myself pushing other people too, like, it's probably one of my downfalls. People will come to me and with a problem, and I like go straight to the like solution. Like, okay, so you're, I can't even think of an example. I can, but I don't really want to share it on the podcast because anyway, friend was having trouble with her husband. It was a trouble that is not like drugs, right? Like, and it had been like 2 years, and he didn't want to get help. I'm like, you need to leave, like, just leave. And obviously it's not that easy, but she ended up leaving, and it was way better. And but sometimes it takes someone to work through this problem first for a while before they're go straight to the solution. And I'm kind of like a solutions oriented person, so I think I jump the gun too quickly sometimes, but I also am very intuitive, and I've done my whole business that way. If I get a weird feeling about a potential client, I'm like, I don't want to sign them. If I feel a certain way about an assistant, like I just don't know if they'd be a good fit. But I'm really good at reading people like that. And so reading situations like, oh, I think this is a great idea. And I do believe, like, going back to the spirituality thing, I do believe like things come into our head and it's from some source, like, you know. And sometimes I act on them and sometimes I don't, like, boom, idea. Like if an idea comes to your head out of nowhere, you're like something, something's telling you those things. And I've learned to come back at it with like, okay, is this a right now thing or is this a later thing? Because at first I was like, yeah, and try to execute it on right away. And then I really sat with it, like, is this a now thing or a later thing? A lot of things are later things. It's okay. Like you don't have to do it all right away. But I don't remember the question you're asking me. What am I capable of? I'm capable of creating something very big. Like, I think the agency right now is just the stepping stone to where we're going to get. I don't know if it's going to be a big agency. I don't know if we're going to end up training VAs. I don't know what that next step is, but I really just think we're like scratching the surface right now. It's maybe it's I feel like I was meant for greatness, and I have always felt that. And I don't. What does greatness mean even? I don't know. Impacting a lot of people. Meant for greatness.
What's a great time to get you in a room, and what's a great time to get you out of a room, or get you involved or not get you involved?
Hmm. Mentoring feels like work. The term mentoring, even the term coaching kind of feels like work. I want to build a course, but I don't want to, but I haven't done it because I don't think I actually want to do it. I just think I should do it. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
What? I would have to sit and think about that. Like, what really actually, like, I see something and it really pulls me to it. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, but I know things that like make me shy away for sure. But I think things that I think of that I should do is like, ooh, I should have one-on-one coaching and create a mastermind and then do a course. And I know the steps to do every single one of these. I know what I have to do. I know what I should do, but it doesn't, like, it's not, I'm not aligned with it. And I know, like, I could make a whole second business out of this and make a lot of money doing it. And I would be a great person to do this. Maybe it's just not the right avenue, right? Like, maybe it's not becoming a virtual assistant is not the right avenue. I'm not sure, but I'm still doing some speaking on it. Like, I'm doing a webinar actually in a couple days about becoming a virtual assistant through Academy, Association of American Society of Administrative Professionals, doing a webinar to kickstart your VA business. But you're making me very introspective right now. So, like, maybe that's the framework, but maybe it's not the VA thing. Maybe it's something else. Very interesting.
What do you deserve?
What do I deserve? I deserve to be treated fairly and to be compensated for my knowledge and experience. I deserve love. I deserve a lot of love. Like on my tombstone, I wanted to say like, Emily really loves people. I love people so much. My husband's walking in right now. You need something? No? Sorry. I deserve love. I deserve trust. I deserve happiness. Ooh, that's rude. Do you edit this? I don't know. I don't want to say material things because I don't think that's really the point. The point is like you deserve the things that bring you the material things.
What would your core values be then?
My core values. So I believe in transparency. Being transparent with clients, with assistants, with like I believe in like integrity. So don't do things that are shady. Do things that are keep you're honest about things. I've never really thought about this for myself. I know what it says for our business, but I'm gonna do an exercise and do that for sure. Like, what are your core values? My core values are authenticity. I want to be like, I never go into a podcast interview rehearsed or thinking about what I want to say because I want people to know the real me. Like, this is the real me, and I want you to know that. And I want everybody who listens to that to it's the real me. It's not some rehearsed, written, like I didn't write potential questions and potential answers. I just being authentic is super important because relatable. I want to be relatable. I am relatable. I think that's it.
There's a common theme there of connection.
Mm-hmm. I need people. I need people.
Why?
Like I think it also plays back to being little. Like the abandonment theme through that scenario. I like to be around people, even if we're not talking. So, like, even if someone's sitting across from me just working and not speaking, I love people. I love being around people. But I also love talking to people. Like, I'm very much a people person, and it all came together for me when I became an entrepreneur because I worked in so many industries. Collected so like I worked in beauty industry and salons. I worked in medical. I worked in like all the people I've collected amongst my life. Like maybe I'm meant to be connected. Like I'm meant to. I have so many connections. I love people, and my mom friends are like, how do you just like meet new people and become friends with them? Easy for me. It's easy. Be yourself. Be authentic. Don't be nervous. Go up to that person and say, hey, hi family. Like, how are you? We have kids the same age. You like to drink wine? Me too.
It's interesting. What is a guilty pleasure for you? Take out the guilt if you wish. I don't mind.
I love TV.
To eat.
TV.
Oh, TV. Oh, okay.
Television.
What's your go-to?
So currently, I'm watching Handmaid's Tale because the new season comes out tomorrow. It's on my calendar. I'm so excited. But I've watched the series probably like 4 times, but I'm watching it again. Like, stop, but it's great. But also my other like really guilty pleasures, Shonda Rhimes shows. So like Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder. They're so good. Station 19. I'm obsessed. I've seen all of them. I rewatch them all the time too.
It's
I
interesting.
just like,
Is there almost just, I don't know why mentally I sort of connected together, you're talking, you mentioned creativity quite a bit, and then the sort of almost, I suppose, the creativity or the otherworldness of TV is such, I don't know whether there's something there.
I don't think that I'm a creative person. I would not deem myself creative at all. I don't know why. It's just never been a word that I resonate with.
You mentioned it about 5 times.
But for me, it's like creativity, and what I was talking about was like problem solving. It's like you're given, but it's not. I guess I have always associated creativity with being artistic, and I'm not artistic. Like I can't even draw a stick figure. So maybe I just associate it with a different word.
So it's interesting, yeah, and I suppose even it's interesting with intuition, sort of again, it's perception, right? But intuition and creation or creativity, always kind of potentially go hand in hand. Do you mind if I ask? I mean, are you still in touch with your birth mother at all, or is that?
Yeah. So if we're Facebook friends, um, after EJ was born, before EJ was born, I didn't speak to her for probably 5 years. Because I asked her, the conversation was actually, why do you hate me? And I said, well, why did you abuse me? And she straight out denied it. She said, that never happened. And I was like, I read all the files. And she said, those are fabricated. Like those, they just wrote that stuff. It didn't actually happen. So I didn't speak to her. I think it was like, I must have been like 19 at the time. I didn't speak to her for years. And she'd still come to Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff because we're adopted by family and she was still invited to those things. So I think that's part of my whole healing process too, is I never really got the chance to heal. Like every year it's like this reminder was there, and it was damaging for sure. And then when EJ was born, she was at Thanksgiving a couple months later, and I let her hold him, and she said that she was sorry for the first time ever. And so I forgave her. Like in that moment, I forgave her, and we started to like heal our relationship. And I invited her to my house, and like twice over the course of a year, and she met EJ, and like got to know EJ. And um, January 2020, she called me and she's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm moving to Virginia." She used to live in the state, and I was like, "Okay, well, like, bye again, I guess." Like I was just, yeah, like a wound being ripped back open. And so we're still Facebook friends. I would rather not be Facebook friends with her. It's something I'm working on. I just need to tell her, like, I'm in a place and I don't really want to have a relationship right now, and better than it seems that.
It's tough, isn't it? I mean, there's no easy or right answer, or maybe there is. I don't know.
I've just decided that I'm kind of done having relationships that I feel obligated to have. Like, does our relationship do me any good? Not from the point of like, are you going to give me something, but do you make me feel good when I talk to you? Or do I literally dread it? Because if I literally dread it, sorry, you're not going to be in my life anymore. That's it.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's tough. So So what does pleasure and leisure look like for you then? When you're not taking over the world one VA at a time?
No, I don't want to take over the world, but I love going on dates with my husband. I really do. It's so fun. Like even at like Friday at 3 o'clock, we can dip out early and go to happy hour and talk about the week, and I love it. I love that. Again, food. I love food. Um, I like going on little vacations, like not even plain vacations, but in Washington State where I live, there's so many like beach, like little beach things or weekend getaways that you can go to. I love taking the family and doing that kind of stuff. It's really fun to go explore new places, and I think maybe more now than before because I'm just eager to get out. Um, I love spending time with my friends, doing wine tasting. It's fun. And what else do I do? I read a lot. I go on like this weird reading spurts where I'll read 5 books and then I won't read for a year. Like 5 books in a row, like 5 books in 2 weeks. And then I just won't read for a year. I've always been that way. It's weird. Like I've been that way since I was a kid. I just read it and then just not read. But I love it. It's just now, I think part of it now is I feel a little guilty reading because there's so many different things that I should be doing. I watch TV while I work. So like it's things that I've seen before. I don't need to pay attention. It's just on in the background. For reading, you really have to focus. So if I sit down and read a book after dinner, I should either be hanging out with the kids or doing the dishes or starting laundry. Or I have a hard time with hobby stuff because I feel like I should always be doing something else.
How are you with silence?
Hate it. I mean, yeah, I don't do good with silence. I tried to meditate once, like a couple times. I can't do it. Like meditation is, or like, I'm one of those people when you get a massage, my brain is like all over the place. My brain just goes crazy. I just can't get into a meditative space ever. And I think that's just part of my nature. You know, human design at all? I'm a
No.
generator.
Hmm.
No, you don't? Oh, you should look into it. It's really cool. I'll send you a link. Human design is like based on your birth time, your birth location, and things like that. And there's 4 different profiles. There's projector, manifesting generator, and reflector. And it just has like it gives you an idea of kind of who you are as a person. And the generator profile is like go, 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 go. And that's who I am. I mean, that's who I've always been. So I'm not relaxed right now either. I'm like tapping my foot and like playing with people's foot, and I'm just very fidgety. But you're not.
I've changed. But
I
it's
sometimes think that I have
hmm.
ADHD, but I've never been tested.
Yeah, but I found, like, say, well, I have dyslexia and ADHD, but I find it's when I come into this scenario, it's different, right? So it depends if you're in work mode, if you're in, interview mode or what. So if you're trying to listen, I'm listening for words, I'm listening for languages, listening for patterns. So
Right.
whilst I'm not saying a lot, it's like there's a lot of picturing, processing, connecting dots or trying to connect dots or whatever, so um but yeah, it's learning how you learning how you listen. That's quite key, I think. And listening to yourself, as you talked about intuition, which is a form of listening to yourself, trusting
Mm-hmm.
your gut, you know.
Something I work on all the time now.
What's on your bucket list? You're talking about manifestation
But
and
like the things to do or things to happen.
well, whatever.
I want to own a house on a body of water. That's our vacation house. I
Nice.
want to be a philanthropist. So I want to be like at those galas in like a big ball ground, like donating thousands of dollars to causes that mean money or that mean things to me. Thousands of dollars of like there's a local nonprofit that helps foster kids. So important to me. There's like youth sports organizations for kids who can afford to play. Like I'm actually on the board of a nonprofit near my house called Community Bridges, where they help connect people who have extra resources to people who don't have enough resources, pay for like utilities and things like that. Yeah, philanthropy is huge on my list because I've been given so much in this life. I want to give back. I want to pay for my kids' college, as I said before. I want to go to Italy for like a month.
What would you
I've
do?
never been up, stay at a villa and drink wine. I don't know, in the sun. Like, not be
Eat.
here. Eat so much food. Yeah. I've never been outside the United States, except I went to Canada one time for like 6 hours, but our dog bit our dog sitter, and so my husband had to drive me back for 2.5 hours and then drive back. So I've only been to Canada for like 5, 6 hours. But other than that, I've never left the United States. I don't have a passport. So if someone invited me to go to Bora Bora tomorrow, I could not go. Even though I wouldn't go, I'm not fully vaccinated yet.
So leaving the country there's a risk of getting bitten by dogs.
I guess, man, that was a bad. He's just protective. Like he's just like guarding his house. Like it wasn't like they were playing and he was like he wouldn't let her in the door even. So he's a German Shepherd, very protective. But I would like to travel with my family. Actually one of my goals is to get to a place where we have an international vacation every year. I want to expose the boys to culture.
Wow, it's beautiful. So tell me, if you were to summarize your fire in the belly in 1 or 2 words, what would they be?
Impact and connection, I think.
Wow. Powerful words.
Well, this interview has made me really think about it.
Well, so tell me, where can people reach out, track you down, hunt you down, follow you, stalk you, any of the above?
So our agency website is www.she'sagiven.com. My coaching website is www.she'sagivenacademy.com. Instagram is @she'sagiven_. I think that'll do it. You can email me, Emilie, EMILIE, @she'sagiven.com.
Love it.
I like emails.
Is there a final message you'd like to leave with people?
Final message. I guess it would be authentically you. Don't do something just because you feel like you should. I mean, I'm living example of that right now, but do things that feel good to you. Don't spend time doing something that feels intuitively wrong or just because somebody says that you have to.
That's very cool. Emilie, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for taking us through your journey and all your lessons and learnings. And listen, I really appreciate you having you on. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Pete.
Until the next time.